So now with CM Punk officially part of All Elite Wrestling, I can basically safely say, in my opinion, that he's going to be the most over superstar wrestler, if you will, in that company. There is no doubt about it. I mean, yeah, it's great that he's there to work with the young guys and even some of the veterans, settle some scores, as he put it. But honestly, let's face it, with the exception of Sting and maybe, Kenny Omega, CM Punk is the most over star they got now. I mean, pretty much, in my opinion, he put the Super Elite to rest. I mean, yeah, you're gonna have your Bucks fans and your Good Brother fans and, your Kenny Omega fans, like I said, and that's great and everything. But the truth is, CM Punk's arrival just put that all to rest. I mean, honestly, you really want to get, the Super Elite and Kenny Omega over as heels? The eventual confrontation and interaction between Punk and Omega and the Elite, Super Elite, if you will, is coming. And you know damn well that fans are going to be in Punk's corner more so than they will be in Omega's corner. Omega will be the definitive heel in this. And you know what's interesting about the inevitable confrontation between those two? Or between, Kenny and the Elite and Punk? You know what's funny about that? Punk is the kind of guy that now that he's got that free range that, WWE was forced to give him, during the, potential Summer of Punk storyline that they flushed down the toilet and then tried to rectify later. You know what's interesting about that? Is that he'll go off bullet points, there's no doubt. But what he'll be saying is going to make the Elite, the Super Elite, look humiliated. It's going to make them look bad. And it's basically going to, I hate to say it, it's going to cause them to lose a lot of momentum. And this might just be the final piece of the puzzle when you think about it, that finally puts the Elite, the Super Elite portion of the Bullet Club to rest. It finally puts it to rest, if you will. Because, again, when you have that interaction inevitably happening, it's coming. That, when Punk confronts each and every one of them, damn well, as well as I do. I mean, Alex Hicks of Alex's World. He knows this as damn well as I do. So does OTRS Central. So does the Solid Monster. Basically, anybody that I follow, I'm sure a lot of you follow as well, they know this as well as I do. That the moment that interaction happens, CM Punk not only is going to do what I said he's going to do, he's going to, humiliate them with what he says, going off by the bullet points that he'll have, set up. But basically, he's going to eat them alive. And what I mean by eat them alive is he's going to look at each and every one of them, and he's going to basically call them what we all pretty much feel the Super Elite in the Bullet Club is. And that's nothing more than NWO wannabes, or DX wannabes, or Click wannabes, whatever wordology or terminology he wants to use from a wrestling standpoint. As calling them wannabes or posers, he's going to use it. He's going to. And that to me is on screen is I'm sure in person for those that are going to be there live when that moment happens. That moment is going to be one that we're all going to remember, because basically now we have somebody, who is not afraid to speak their mind, coming out and saying, hey, this Super Elite deal, this Bullet Club thing, it's nothing more than just an NWO wannabe group. That's it. You're nothing more than a NWO, DX, Click wannabe group. And I could see him pointing out to each and every one of the members of the Super Elite and saying, Big LG, remember our history? If it wasn't for me, you'd still be Mr. Ding Ding, turn into a monster, Ding Ding, back to day. I wouldn't be surprised if he makes that reference to Gallows and says, hey, if it wasn't for me, you'd still be doing that. You'd still be acting like you don't know what's going on until basically the bell rings and you become a raging monster. I can't wait for that reference to be thrown towards Gallows by Punk. And then I could see him maybe even comparing the two to trying to be like what the equivalent of the outsiders of Hall and Nash, like this generation's Hall and Nash, and basically humbling them with that comparison, saying, hey, the one big difference between the two is Hall and Nash made it look cool, you guys make it look like a joke, or something like that. I could see that happening. I can see him looking at the Bucks and saying, oh, what are you guys supposed to be? The Hardy Boys for the new millennium, or the Rockers for a new millennium? Just the way you guys are dressing. I can see all that happening. I can see him looking at Don Callis and saying, so who are you supposed to be? You're supposed to be Rick Rude? You're supposed to be Ted DiBiase? You're supposed to be Eric Bischoff? I could see that. I could see him looking at Kenny Omega and being like, and who are you supposed to be? Shawn Michaels? Hulk Hogan? Again, I cannot wait for that moment. I cannot wait for the moment. Heck, I wouldn't be surprised if he even calls, Cody and Hangman, because he knows of their association behind the scenes. I wouldn't be surprised if he calls Cody. Well, and what is Cody supposed to be? I mean, I know he's not here, but he does associate with you guys behind the scenes, right? What's he supposed to be? The Triple H of the group? Again, all these moments are going to happen. All this, this interaction between the two sides is going to happen. And again, this is all because of the fact that when Punk debuted last night at Rampage, you pretty much killed the Super Elite. You killed any momentum they were going to have. I mean, the fact that they're already hinting at the fact, hinting at the moment. Well, what I'm trying to say is the fact that they're already hinting, at the idea that, the Bucks have to be in a steel cage against whoever they face at All Out for the tag titles, which looks like it could be Jurassic Express or the Lucha Bros. The fact that AEW is already hinting that they may end up losing the belts in that environment, and then you add on the fact that you have CM Punk show up, last night, you pretty much, like I said, you pretty much have put the Super Elite to rest. They're not going to be recognized as a very popular group, beloved group, together or individually or as regular tag teams. That's all been put to rest. It's done. It is done now. Because inevitably they're going to have to build towards a matchup between Punk and Omega to see who truly is the best in the world. And Punk is going to probably want to go over on that, or Tony Khan's going to want Punk to go over instead of Kenny Omega. Now, it would be a feather in Kenny's cap if Punk said, hey, let me put this guy over and show that he is the new best in the world. But I'm sure Punk would probably want to do that when Kenny's a babyface, because at least that would give him a full-fledged redemption from being what he is now. And that could be the final chapter in the redemption arc for Kenny when that moment comes. But even if they don't wait till that moment, and they want to do Punk and Omega, let's say for Arthur Ashe Stadium, or even Full Gear, but more likely Arthur Ashe Stadium, then there's no doubt that in the positions they're in right now, Punk's going to go over. You know that. You know that as well as I do. So, the way I look at it, last night, Punk's arrival, even though they teased it's going to be him and Darby Allin at All Out, Punk's arrival pretty much made him the biggest star they got in the company now. And by doing so, it pretty much has put the Super Elite, on its deathbed. It's put the Super Elite as a group on its deathbed. It's put the popularity of Omega, the Bucks, the Good Brothers. It's put it on life support. As part of this group. It's put the popularity as part of this group on life support. Yeah, individually and as a regular tag team, like I said earlier, they're still going to have their fans. But the thing is, nothing's going to compare to the reaction CM Punk's going to get every time he shows up. Nothing's going to compare to it. Nothing's going to compare. And everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. With the shows they're going to have in the Chicago region leading up to All Out, Nothing's going to compare. And again, they're going to have shows outside of Chicago as well. New York and wherever else they go. No matter where Dynamite and Rampage is, Punk's going to be over. That music hits, that cult of personality music hits. Nothing is going to compare to the reaction he gets. Nothing or no one. That is why, in my opinion, when I look at the popularity, that Kenny Omega, the Young Bucks, the Good Brothers, all had as part of the Super Elite, that's history now. That's done. There is nothing, period. There is nothing, period, that's going to get them that momentum back. So, again, with the fact that they're hinting at the idea that the Bucks are going to lose the belts at All Out in a cage, along with, Punk's debut, thus making him the biggest star that got in the company now. Yeah, I think the days of the Super Elite, are done. I think as I said, I think they've now been put on their deathbed, and it's only a matter of time. It's only a matter of time. And I think Arthur Ashe Stadium, if they do what I think they're going to do for a main event match, Punk Omega, non-title, if they do what I think they're going to do, then there is no doubt in my mind that will be one of the final nails in the coffin of the Super Elite, and that Full Gear will be the complete burial of that group and this story arc. And that Full Gear will be the start and the beginning of the redemption of one Kenny Omega. And if it doesn't start there, then it's going to start at the Winter's Coming Winter's Coming 2 event that ends the year and begins the new year for AEW on the 2 separate episodes of Dynamite. That's what's going to happen. I know it. You know it. Anybody that is thrilled CM Punk is here in AEW. Anybody that's a supporter of the Super Elite still, even with Punk here. Everybody knows this. Everybody knows it. And you know what? I'll say this. The Super Elite, they had a great run. There's no doubt. They had a great run. At one point, they held every single championship in two of the biggest major promotions here in America, Impact and AEW. I'll give them that. But now that momentum is starting to die down, and it's only a matter of time. Because with Punk's arrival, it's pretty much, to me, spelled the beginning of the end for the Super Elite. But what do you guys think? Do you think Punk showing up last night at Rampage and thus becoming the biggest star they got in that company, because that momentum's going to keep going, those reactions are going to keep going. Do you think that pretty much spelled the beginning of the end for the Super Elite? Or do you think maybe I'm just grasping at straws? Let me know what your thoughts are. Comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are on the live chat during the premiere. Like the video. I am out.